Alicia, what got you interested in collecting art and working in design? Was there a specific moment or piece of art that got you started?
Oh, absolutely. I was quite the adventurous artist when I was a child, and I used to get reprimanded quite a bit for drawing or painting on the wall. I know. And in kindergarten, we actually had a substitute teacher, and she wanted, to get an art position, I'm sure, so she was taking that class pretty seriously, which I really appreciated because she was teaching us about Picasso and his self-portraits and really just getting us excited about the idea that it doesn't have to look perfect. We can really be expressionistic about the way that we create art and feel very liberated and free and, really have that childish enthusiasm in our artwork. And, I noticed my peers had a lot of macaroni noodles, but I took it very seriously when I was in kindergarten. I made my first cubist expressionist self-portrait. And so, Picasso was pretty prolific for me in his cubistic, or, in cubism and his self-portraits. And certainly that, that substitute teacher really made an impact. And then, of course, as I got older, I was able to take classes in art and took a field trip to an art museum. I realized, this is what I wanted to do with my life. And so it basically changed my life.
How has your work in art collecting changed over the years? What keeps you excited about doing it?
I think what really changed over the years was just my experience as an artist first, owning an art gallery, and then, representing artists in my gallery, to brokering my first Rudolph Bauer that was previously in the Guggenheim, and I brokered it out of the Weinstein Gallery in San Francisco. And that really launched my understanding of all of the different areas of fine art. And it really affected the way that I see it from a business perspective, an artist perspective, as a gallery, and now in interior design and interior architecture and building these homes. And also as an art appreciator myself, I feel like I can get a full scope understanding at this point in my life versus, kind of specific areas where I've only either been an artist or a gallery owner. It's a culmination of all of that experience that's really kind of benefited my experience in brokering and even creating my own artwork today. But that's essentially what I think is the biggest difference now.
When you go to big art shows like Art Basel or Untitled, what do you usually look for? Do you have a plan, or do you just see what catches your eye?
I think it's nearly impossible to have a plan at an event like Art Basel, Art Miami, Context, Untitled, because everything is so pertinent, relevant to what's going on in the world today, minute by minute, and they're even pushing the boundaries. They're so progressive in their experiences in the world and the way that we should really challenge thoughts and ideas. And artists really are, I guess, the first through the wall to really kind of highlight, what we're dealing with and question it. And for us to really say, is this okay? Is this how we need to dress? Is this how we need to think? Is this how we need to move? And so you have to really go with an open mind. But in terms of brokering art for your art or your art gallery or a client, you would really want to understand who they are and what really moves them. So you certainly need to apply that as well.
In your work, how do you mix art and design so they work well together?
So I feel like I can't do design without art. Art is creativity, it's self-expression. Even though they are two completely different things, I think you really need one to elevate the other. Art is life, and everything that we do and see in the world has been interpreted by art first for us to kind of launch ourselves into saying, hey, I really enjoy this, I really want this, or I really want to live this way. And so, by utilizing art first and foremost in my projects, whether it's commercial or residential, and implementing it into the grand plan of aesthetics, meaning, and as an investment, I think that, by utilizing that art makes that location feel special, it feels relevant, it feels branded, but it also, obviously pairs as an investment part of their portfolio. So it goes hand in hand for me.
How important are new or up-and-coming artists in the art that you buy? What about them that catches your attention?
Incredibly important. First and foremost, we have to support emerging artists. and really, help develop their career and give them an opportunity to use their voice, because they're not just creating art, for themselves. A big part of art is the communication between the artist and the viewer. And so we really need to give them a platform to say what they need to say, because a lot of it is in context with, the world in which we live, and really questioning our reality and what beauty is. And so we need to give them a voice. And also because it gives everyone an opportunity to collect art. Art shouldn't exist for a specific type of person or a demographic. Everybody has a right to, acquire art that means something to them and speaks to them. And to be surrounded by the things that they love and enjoy. And so we need to be able to support, emerging artists, and also support young collectors.
When you're picking a piece of art, how do you know if it's meaningful or special to you or others?
Well, what's meaningful and special is, so subjective to the person. When I look at work, we have indices for sure. I can assess artwork and kind of see the quality and the technique that was maybe used, but in no way does that mean it's more special necessarily. So special can be, whether it's personal for you, but in terms of knowing if it's a higher quality piece of work, there is several indices that we would use in understanding, the art criticism behind that work, and understanding why the value may be there, and what kind of made that artwork, kind of exhibited the way that it was. So.
What is the hardest part about combining art and design in your work? How do you deal with that?
That's a great question. I think a challenging part about merging art and design isn't so much that I'm conflicted about doing it or find it difficult in any way. It's that I think I'm so passionate about the importance of art in design that I have to do a lot of kind of support and education to let others know that it is kind of an important element that we need to consider earlier in the design process than later. And many people don't consider it at all. And so I think that's the biggest challenge that I have, is making sure that people understand the importance of it, and why it impacts the aesthetics, why it impacts the meaning of the people that are in that space. And then also just trying to say, hey, let's utilize it as an investment, so that way we can either use it in terms of your portfolio, whether you want to pass it on to your kids, whether you want it to help brand your business. There's a lot of other ways that we can implement it in a way that they might really care about. So why not do all three, and really kind of hit it home that art really is that important in every way. So that's the challenge, I think, is just letting everybody else know as much as I know that art is it's very important.
I wish we would all see it your way. I think if we do, we would just embrace it so much more.
Yeah,
it's
I
so
completely
nice.
agree.
With so many different styles and kinds of art at shows like Art Basel, how do you stick to your own style and vision?
I guess that's a little bit of a confusing question, because I don't have a style of art, but I do get that question a lot, and I think it's almost like we all kind of think that a designer has a style and we should always just design in our style. And certainly could be true for some designers, where they say, hey, this is my voice and I've mastered this, and people are hiring me for this specific voice. And there's other designers that say, I want to design whatever the client thinks and feels, and I don't really want to put in my personal aesthetic there. And I think that I have an interplay of the two. I really want to focus on who my client is and their voice and their vision. But they would specifically find me for the sole reasons that we're a biophilic design firm, and understanding from the perspective and environment, and the humanities first, and then really respecting that the place in which we live, and then kind of proceeding into navigating the aesthetics, and making sure it's functional and meeting these kind of specific demands of the world in which we live. I think that's really important. So yeah.
Is there a piece of art or project that you've worked on that really stands out to you as a big moment in your career?
Oh my goodness, I'll never forget the Rudolph Bauer that I brokered. I think the reason why it was so meaningful for me is, for those who don't know who Rudolph Bauer is, but everybody looks at Kandinsky is the father of abstraction. Everybody loves Kandinsky. I mean, we have posters of him in college, and we really love the abstract artworks once we kind of move into a contemporary perspective, typically when we're in college and we're not needing everything to be photorealistic or a paint by numbers. We become more of a personality with we like that expression, and we like really kind of challenging the status quo, and so Rudolf Bauer was the man that inspired Kandinsky to create abstract works, and then and the Guggenheim was actually built for Rudolf Bauer, and he lived in World War II, and he was called a degenerate artist, and when they smuggled him and his artwork out, the Guggenheim was essentially built for his artwork, and then of course as there tends to be drama in workplaces, he ended up having a falling out with the Guggenheim and the curator there, and so they purposely hid his work and wanted to erase his name from history, and so therefore Kandinsky became the father of abstraction and got all of that recognition. And fast forward to about, I would say, 2010, an incredible book was written about Rudolf Bauer, kind of highlighting that he really is the true father of abstraction. And Kandinsky, really was his protege, and thankfully it was the Weinstein Gallery that published that book, and I was fortunate to broker his very first piece out from the Guggenheim out of the Weinstein Gallery. So
that's chills.
It completely changed my life. I mean, I was just beside myself. It was really an opportunity for a young curator and art historian that I was at that time to launch myself and give myself the confidence to really pursue it in a bigger way. So
what advice would you give to someone who is just starting out in collecting art or working in design?
First and foremost, go out there and just see art. Go to Art Basel, go to Context and Art Miami, go to your galleries, go to art shows, and really just connect with the artists. And over time, your eye, just like taste, will evolve and change because you'll talk to the artist, you'll hear the artist statement, and you will start to challenge the way that you see art and experience art. And so really just becoming more diverse and challenging yourself to have different experiences. And then from time to time, even if it's an auction and it's a tiny little piece, and if it's $5, it matters. It matters to the artist. They feel seen. It supports them. It's something that you remember. You'll cherish it, and then you develop that over time. When you become more serious about it, you can start to read books and start to fall in love with what art is and isn't. And that's a question in and of itself, is how can we even define something like that, and really read about the philosophies of it, read about artists that really interest you, and then of course you're always welcome to talk to people like me and learn a little bit more about how you can either make wise decisions in your art procurement, or how you can utilize it as an investment, and how you can kind of even implement it into your taxes. I mean, there's all walks of life out there, but just dive in and have fun.
What do you hope your work in art and design says to the world, and what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
Oh my goodness, that is such a big part of what I'm doing right now, in terms of what legacy I want to leave when it comes to art and of course in design. And I'm currently I'm a big sister for the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, and there's something really special about taking children and teaching them about the world that so many other people tell them it's a waste of your time, or it's impossible, or you won't get anywhere. Letting them know not only is it possible, but show them the process in which to excel and to succeed, and really be great at it and be fearless. So hopefully when I build my building, my Atelier Design building, the main level will be an art gallery, and I'll have all these Big Brothers Big Sisters kids come and learn different vocations, as how to be an art docent and how to be an art curator, how to support the arts, how to be an artist in business. or they can learn about how to be an interior architect, interior designer, how they can learn to be an engineer or a project manager, a general contractor, and we would do that on the second level. But a big part of that is letting kids like me who were in foster homes and didn't know what was possible, that anything is possible.